The sound was unreal. Glass shattered. Tires screamed. Then, silence. For one heartbeat, I thought I died. But when I opened my eyes, I saw her. My wife, on the asphalt. Her leg bent the wrong way. Her face white, eyes wide, whispering my name. And behind her, two men in reflective vests, running. "Stay down," one shouted, like he had the right to command us. They weren't police. They weren't HOA officers either. Their vests were fake, their badges printed on plastic. And their truck, it didn't have plates. Something about the whole thing felt off, like a setup. I tried to stand, but pain shot through my side. Then I saw it. A blood smear on the hood of my car, shaped like a handprint. It wasn't hers. The men looked at me, no fear, no guilt. Just cold focus, like I'd seen something I shouldn't have. "Forget what you saw," one of them said. Then they vanished down the street, disappearing between the trees. Neighbors came out screaming. Sirens started somewhere far away. But my eyes stayed on the woods. Something moved there. A shadow, tall and slow, like it was watching. That's when I felt it. The wrongness, heavy, crawling under my skin. I thought it ended there. But that night, when I went back to the scene, I found something they left behind. A badge. Plastic, cracked, with blood in the grooves. And a name scratched on the back. That name changed everything. Every second that passed after that night, I lost something: sleep, safety, control. And if you stay till the end of this story, you'll understand why we did what we did. Because revenge. It wasn't just justice. It was survival. The hospital smelled like metal and bleach. Machines hummed. My wife was half conscious, whispering nonsense through the morphine. Her leg was shattered. Doctors said it would take months, maybe longer, to walk again. I stared at the x-rays, not hearing a word. All I could see was that fake badge. It lay in my pocket like a curse. The police came, asked questions, wrote things down. But when I showed them the badge, the room went quiet. They looked at each other. One of them sighed. "Sir, we'll investigate," he said. But his eyes told me the truth. They didn't care. They thought it was just another random assault. They didn't know those men came pretending to be HOA inspectors. They didn't know they'd been watching our house for weeks. But I did. Because I'd seen them before, once, near the woods, standing by their truck, marking something on a clipboard. They waved. I waved back, thinking they were just doing their job. Now my wife was broken because of it. That night I sat alone in the parking lot, rain dripping down the windshield. Her voice echoed in my head, over and over. Why did they do this? I didn't have an answer. Only anger. Then my phone buzzed. A message from a number I didn't recognize. "Drop it. You don't want to know." That was when the fear turned to something else. Resolve. I deleted the text and drove home. The woods behind our house loomed dark and wet, like something alive. And somewhere out there, those men were still walking free. Watching. Waiting. So I made a promise to myself. If no one would bring justice, I would. It's me again. The husband. The guy whose wife can't walk because two fake HOA inspectors decided to play God. You remember that badge I found? That was where everything started to unravel. 3 days after the attack, I went back to the crash site. The air still smelled like burnt rubber and rain. The asphalt was scraped where her leg had hit. I looked around, nothing. But then I noticed something strange. A line of small, metal shards under the guardrail. Not from our car. Too fine, too polished. Like pieces of a drone. And beside them, muddy boot prints leading into the woods. My woods. Now, listen. I used to work forestry. Those woods behind our property? I knew every tree, every trail, every sound. So when I say someone had been in there recently, I mean it. Fresh tracks. Broken twigs. A smell like gasoline and cold metal. I followed the prints for half a mile. Then I saw something glinting between the roots, a phone. No case, cracked screen, but still on. And guess what name popped up on the wallpaper? HOA Security Division. Fake. All of it. But inside that phone was one photo. Two men in reflective vests, standing beside a black pickup with no plates. And in the background, my mailbox. That's when I felt my stomach drop. They'd been here before. Not just once. For days. Weeks maybe. Watching. Recording. And then I remembered the message, "Drop it." So I called the detective. He didn't answer. I called again. Voicemail. That silence told me more than any words. I wasn't supposed to find this. Now, before I tell you what happened next, let me warn you. What I found inside that phone would change how you see this whole story. Coming up, you'll understand why those men weren't just random criminals. They were part of something bigger. Something tied to the HOA itself. But right then, I just stood there in the rain, holding that phone, feeling the weight of it in my hand. I thought about my wife's face. Her broken leg. The sound of those men laughing as they ran. And I made a choice. I wasn't going to the police again. I was going to the woods. The kind of choice you can't undo. The kind that changes what kind of man you are. It's still me, the husband. The man whose wife lies in a hospital bed because someone thought pretending to be an HOA officer was a joke. You're about to see how far I went after that. That night, I didn't sleep. The forest outside my window felt alive. Every sound, a branch cracking, a dog barking, made my pulse spike. I kept replaying that photo in my head. The two men, their fake uniforms, my mailbox. They'd been here, watching us for days. So I did what I always do when things go bad. I called my old crew, my Forestry brothers. Men who lived by silence, grit, and loyalty. We'd worked together years ago, fighting wildfires, cutting through storms. They trusted me with their lives. And when I told them what happened, there was no hesitation. Say when, they said. That's all I needed to hear. We met at the cabin, deep in the woods, where the road turns to mud and cell service dies. I brought the fake badge and the broken phone. They listened, didn't interrupt. Then Mikhail, the oldest, scarred like the bark of an oak, said, "You're not crazy. This smells like organized work." He was right. Too much precision. Too much silence from the cops. Coming up, I told them, you'll see just how deep this thing goes. But first, we find them. They nodded. One of them, Lev, cracked his knuckles. Another, Dima, started cleaning his axe like it was a ritual. Now, before you judge, we weren't planning murder. We just wanted answers. But answers sometimes demand force. And we had plenty of that. We started tracking. Mikhail followed the boot prints I'd found near the road. They were fresh, less than a week old. They led deeper into the woods, past the old mill and toward a clearing. There, we found tire marks, oil stains, and cigarette butts. A camp. Someone had been living here. Inside a rusted toolbox, Dima found something, HOA ID stickers. Dozens of them, some blank, some printed with real names. Names of my neighbors. It wasn't just fake uniforms anymore. They were cloning entire identities. Why? I whispered. Nobody answered. But Mikhail pointed to a map pinned to a tree. Dozens of red circles marked around our town. Each one labeled with a street, a house number. And sometimes a name. My street was circled twice. That's when it hit me. We weren't victims of random violence. We were targets. And I had no idea why. But I swear to you, what we found next made my blood turn cold. Because inside that map, in small handwriting, was a word that didn't belong. Clearance. And next to it, tomorrow's date. Tomorrow. That was the moment I realized we didn't have time. Whatever they were planning, it was happening soon. And we were already inside the circle. I looked at my crew. They were ready. No fear. Just quiet resolve. Tomorrow, I said, we take back control. Coming up, the night hunt begins. And not everyone makes it out. It's me again, the husband. The one whose wife still can't walk. The one who's about to do something he can't undo. We started before dawn. The forest was heavy with fog, the kind that clings to your skin like guilt. No one spoke. Every step sounded too loud. Mikhail led the way with his old rifle. Lev carried the thermal scope. Dima had a drone we'd built ourselves from spare parts. I held the fake badge in my pocket, my reminder of why we were here. We moved toward the clearing where we'd found the map. The plan was simple. We'd set a decoy light. Wait, watch who came, then follow them back to wherever they crawled out from. It was quiet, too quiet. The kind of silence that makes your heart beat louder than footsteps. Coming up, I whispered to the camera on my chest, "You'll see what we caught on that lens." It's not what we expected. Hours passed. Fog thickened. Then the first sound, an engine. Slow, cautious. Headlights flickered between the trees. A black pickup. No plates. My hands clenched around the rifle. Lev signaled for silence. Through the thermal scope, we saw them. Two figures, same vests, same fake logos. They were setting up something by the stump, a small device with wires. It blinked red, once. Twice. Then stopped. "What the hell is that?" Dima whispered. "Tracker?" I asked. "No," said Mikhail. "That's a detonator." My blood froze. They were rigging the woods. Our woods. And then it happened. One of them turned, looking straight into our direction, like he knew. The beam of his flashlight sliced through the fog and landed on my boot. We didn't breathe, didn't move. For a second, the whole world stopped. Then, a voice. "I know you're there." That's when everything fell apart. He fired first. The shot echoed through the trees like thunder. Lev dove for cover. Dima's drone lifted into the air, spinning, catching flashes of movement below. I crawled behind a fallen trunk, heart pounding in my throat. Bullets hit bark inches from my head. Mikhail returned fire. 1, 2, 3 rounds. When it stopped, the fog was full of smoke. We couldn't see them anymore. Only the red light of that device still blinked in the dark. We approached slowly. No bodies, no sound. They were gone. But they left something behind, a folder, half burned, with documents inside. HOA property records, names, addresses, and at the bottom, mine. That's when I realized the trap wasn't ours. It was theirs. They'd led us here. They'd known we were coming. Coming up, you'll see what was inside those files, and why it turned my revenge into something much darker. Because from that night on, it wasn't about justice anymore. It was war. It's me again, the husband. The one who thought this was about a broken leg. But after that night in the woods, I learned it was much bigger. We carried the burned folder back to the cabin. The papers inside were wet, half melted, smelling like smoke and gasoline. Lev spread them across the table. Dozens of pages, names, addresses, photos. Everyone labeled with a date and a red mark. Some had approved, others, pending clearance. I found mine near the bottom. My name, my wife's name, our property number. And next to it, clearance, complete. I didn't understand what it meant. Not yet. Who would keep something like this? I asked. Mikhail squinted at the header on the page. It read, HOA Compliance Division, Internal Operation Number 47B. Fake? Maybe. But the seal looked real. Too real. Lev pointed to another sheet. Photos of construction permits, foreclosure notices, debt lists. These weren't random attacks. They were systematic. Someone was targeting homeowners who refused to sell. Cleaning the board, block by block. And it hit me. That's why they came to our house. We'd refused to sign their new HOA expansion contract. My wife had called it a scam. She was right. I looked at my friends. Nobody spoke. You could feel the anger, thick as the smoke still clinging to our clothes. This wasn't vandalism. It was organized theft. And we were on their list. Coming up, I told the camera, you'll see how deep this hole goes. We found a name, the one behind it all. Dima flipped over the last page. On the back, barely visible through the burn marks, was a handwritten note. Report to H Division, Friday, 9 p.m. Today was Thursday. Mikhail leaned forward. H Division, he said slowly. That's not HOA, that's Homeland Affairs. We all froze. Are you saying this is federal? I whispered. He shook his head. No, I'm saying it's someone pretending to be. Fake HOA, fake officers, fake government, but real pain, real blood. The clock ticked loud in that cabin. We all knew what came next. If we didn't move first, they would. So we made a plan. Lev would track the pickup using the tire patterns from the clearing. Dima would charge the drone batteries. Mikhail would bring the old hunting rifles, not to shoot, but to scare. At least, that's what we told ourselves. Because deep down, I think we all knew, this wasn't going to end clean. Before we left, I looked again at that word beside my name. Clearance, complete. Did that mean we were already dead on paper? Was this list just a countdown? I didn't know, but I was about to find out. Coming up, we infiltrate the meeting. And that's where the truth finally steps out of the shadows. What we saw there, I still can't forget it. It's me again, the husband. The man who stopped believing in the law the moment his wife screamed on the pavement. And tonight, I was about to walk straight into the heart of their operation. We left the cabin after midnight. The forest was black and wet, every shadow stretching too long. Lev's truck moved without headlights, tires crunching on gravel. Mikhail sat beside me, silent, eyes fixed on the road. Nobody talked. We all knew, this wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was survival. The GPS led us toward the industrial park outside town. The place looked abandoned, old warehouses, rusted fences, broken windows. But one building had lights on. Bright. Too bright. The sign said H Division Storage Unit. Fake name. Real danger. We parked a mile away and hiked through the mud. Dima launched the drone, its small camera blinking red. Through the monitor, we saw them. 4 trucks. Men in the same reflective vests. Crates being unloaded. And inside, in the middle of the room, a table covered with folders just like the one we found. Property records, contracts, photos. Lev zoomed in. That's when we saw him. The leader. Tall, clean-cut, calm, the kind of man who looked more corporate than criminal. He wasn't wearing a vest. He wore a suit. And his badge wasn't plastic. It was metal. Who is that? I whispered. Mikhail's face tightened. That's Walter Kincaid, he said. Real estate developer. Owns half the land around the lake. My stomach turned. He wasn't faking HOA authority. He was the HOA. He built it. I couldn't breathe. It all made sense now. The pressure, the contracts, the threats. They weren't enforcing order. They were clearing people out for development. And anyone who resisted got erased. Coming up, I whispered to the mic, you'll see what happens when a lie like this gets cornered. Then something flickered on the screen. A man stepped into view. I leaned closer, and my blood ran cold. He was holding my photo. A picture of me standing in front of my house. Kincaid said something, pointing at it. Then he smiled. They knew. They knew we were watching. The drone feed cut out. Static. Then nothing. Lev cursed under his breath. Battery? No, Dima said. Signal jammed. We backed away from the fence. Too late. Headlights flared behind us. Engines roared. 3 trucks blocked the exit road. Run, Mikhail shouted. We scattered into the woods, branches whipping our faces, mud sucking at our boots. Gunfire cracked in the dark. They were chasing us. Real bullets this time. I tripped, hit the ground hard. My head spun. For a second, I thought it was over. But Lev grabbed my arm and dragged me behind a fallen tree. Move, he hissed. They're flanking. And then, silence again. The kind of silence that makes your bones ache. We waited, listening, breathing. Somewhere out there, someone was still walking toward us. Slow, deliberate. One flashlight beam slicing through the fog. Coming up, we find out who that was. And it's not one of them. It's someone I never expected to see again. It's me again, the husband. The one who thought this was just about fake HOA officers. But that night, in the fog, I met someone who changed everything. After the gunfire stopped, the forest felt wrong. Like it was holding its breath. We stayed low, our backs against wet bark. I could taste blood in my mouth from the fall. Somewhere behind us, an engine revved, then faded. They were searching. Slowly. Patiently. Mikhail whispered, we can't stay here. But before we could move, a new sound cut through the fog, not footsteps. A whistle. Low. Human. 3 notes. The kind we used to signal each other during wildfire patrols. But none of my men made it. So who the hell was that? I raised my flashlight just enough to catch movement. A shadow, tall, wrapped in a raincoat. The figure didn't speak, just gestured. Follow me. We hesitated. Then we followed. Something in the way he moved, quiet, deliberate, said he wasn't one of them. He led us through a narrow ravine, between rocks slick with moss, until we reached a bunker door buried under ivy. Old military. Steel, rusted, half open. He motioned us inside. Only when he locked the door did he finally speak. You shouldn't be here, he said. His voice was hoarse, low, like someone who hadn't talked in years. I've been watching them too. It's still me talking, the husband, and what I heard next nearly broke me. He said his name was Harris. Former HOA inspector. Real one. Fired 5 years ago after he tried to expose corruption. He showed us an ID, faded but real. Then he laid out a pile of papers, same as ours. Property lists. Clearance codes. Except his copies had something else, signatures. At the bottom of every document, the same name, Walter Kincaid. Coming up, Harris said quietly, you'll understand why they're clearing homes. It's not about land. It's about what's under it. He handed me a blueprint. It showed underground tunnels connecting several properties around the lake. Water management lines, but deeper, too deep for utilities. Mikhail frowned. What are they moving down there? Harris looked him dead in the eye. People. My blood turned to ice. He explained, the fake HOA wasn't just pushing people out. They were relocating the ones who resisted. Kidnapping them. Rehousing them off the grid under the pretext of enforcement. And anyone who dug too deep disappeared. That's when I realized, my wife's broken leg wasn't an accident. It was a warning, for me to stop asking questions. I told Harris we were done running. We wanted proof. He nodded slowly. There's a server room inside that warehouse, he said. It's all there. Files, names, videos. But you only get one shot. The clock on his wall said 3:12 a.m. We had maybe 2 hours until sunrise. Until they came back. Lev loaded the rifles. Dima checked the drone feed. Mikhail looked at me. You sure about this? I nodded. Yeah, I said. I'm done being scared. Before we left, Harris handed me a drive. Backup, he said, in case you don't make it out. And then he said something that still haunts me. They always come for the families first. Coming up, we go back to that warehouse. We break inside, and what we find on those tapes, no one should ever see. It's me again, the husband. The one who promised my wife justice, no matter what it cost. Tonight, that promise takes shape. We left Harris' bunker at 4 a.m. The fog was thick, the forest silent. Every step sounded like an alarm in my ears. Lev led the way, drone hovering above, scanning the path. Mikhail and Dima followed close, rifles ready. I carried the drive Harris gave me, the last proof we might ever have. The warehouse loomed ahead, lights off, empty, or so we thought. We approached through the side gate. Rust squealed as I pushed it open. We froze. A shadow passed the broken windows. I whispered into the camera. It's me, and if this goes wrong, no one will hear us again. Inside, crates were stacked high. Some labeled with HOA property numbers. Some unlabeled. The air smelled of dust and oil. Our boots echoed like gunfire. We found the office, metal door, digital lock. Lev crouched, working his tools. 30 seconds felt like an hour. Click. The door opened. Inside, a small room filled with servers, monitors, and files. Every screen showed camera feeds from around town. We weren't just looking at offices. We were seeing homes, people, families. I froze. On one screen, I saw my street, our mailbox, our house. And then I saw him, Kincaid, smiling at the monitors, pointing at something. I swallowed hard. Dima pulled the drive from my hands. Copy everything, he whispered. I nodded. Mikhail guarded the door. The screens kept flickering. Each house showed someone watching, moving, being tracked. It was worse than we imagined. Coming up, I whispered into the camera. You're about to see why these files will destroy everything they built. Lev started copying the servers. Halfway through, an alarm flashed red. A siren blared somewhere in the building. They knew. Gunfire erupted from the hall outside. We hit the floor. Rifles ready. I counted. 4 men in vests, fast, precise. They knew the layout. We returned fire. A shadow moved across the room. One of our team was hit. I couldn't tell who. Smoke filled the room. Dima yanked the last cord, drive in hand. We've got it. Mikhail signaled to retreat. We ran through the crates. Bullets whizzing past, sparks on metal. The exit, just ahead. One more corner. And then, the light hit my face. A flashlight. Directly on me. Kincaid. He smiled again. You think you can steal from me? I gritted my teeth. We're not stealing. We're exposing. He laughed. Slow. Mocking. Coming up, the confrontation with Kincaid. And why that fight will change everything. Forever. It's me again, the husband. The man whose life has been torn apart by lies, blood, and broken promises. And now, I'm staring down Walter Kincaid. He stepped into the room, suit pristine, eyes cold. A pistol at his hip, but he didn't raise it. Just watched us. I could feel his power in the air, calculated, precise. I whispered to the camera strapped to my chest. It's me. And right now, every choice matters. Mikhail shifted beside me, rifle tight. Lev's drone hovered, recording every movement. Dima's hands shook, gripping his sidearm. We were outnumbered, outgunned, outplayed. Kincaid smiled. You've been busy, he said. And stupid. His voice echoed in the server room, bouncing off metal and monitors. Do you know what happens to people who cross me? I clenched my fists. I do now, I said. But you're done hurting anyone else. He laughed. Slow. A sound that made my blood boil. Do you think you can stop me with guns and drones? I swallowed, heart pounding. I don't need to stop you. I need to survive. And expose you. He raised his pistol slightly. Not to shoot. To intimidate. I could see the faint twitch in his finger. The kind that comes from years of control. I thought about my wife. Her leg. Her pain. The days she spent crying while the cops did nothing. The fear in her eyes. And I made a choice. I stepped forward. Calm. Slow. Every movement deliberate. You underestimate me, I said. I know what you are. And I've got proof. He laughed again. Proof? He waved his hand toward the monitors. All of it? They'll never believe you. Coming up, I whispered to the camera, you'll see what happens when truth meets power. I pressed a button on the drive Harris gave me. A bright light flickered, a small projector illuminated the wall. Files, videos, photos, everything Kincaid had hidden. All of it streaming live. He froze. Then his smile faltered. He stammered. Where did you get this? I didn't answer. I just watched him. He was a man stripped of control for the first time. And for once, I felt something inside me shift. Power. Then, suddenly, an alarm blared. Not the buildings, our drone's feed. Someone was coming. Kincaid's eyes narrowed. He reached for his pistol. I did the same. Time slowed. Every second stretched like an eternity. Coming up, I told the camera, barely breathing, you'll see the choice I had to make. And why it changes everything. Because in that moment, I had two options. Let him escape and risk everything, or strike first and risk crossing a line I might never come back from. And the decision would shock you. It's me again, the husband. The man standing face to face with the man who destroyed my life. And now, I have to make a choice. Kincaid's eyes were on me. Cold, calculating, waiting. Every muscle in my body screamed, act, or lose everything. I thought of my wife. Her broken leg, her fear, her trust in me. I thought of my friends, Mikhail, Lev, Dima. Their loyalty, their courage, the nights we spent planning, the risks we took together. And I thought about the files. All the proof we had. All the lives that depended on exposing Kincaid. Two options. Let him escape, maybe risk more people being hurt. Or strike first. Maybe cross a line I can never return from. I swallowed. I remembered Harris' warning. They always come for the families first. I stepped closer. Gun ready. Heart hammering. You'll answer for everything, I said. Kincaid smirked. You think a drive and some cameras can stop me? I pressed a button on the projector. Files flashed on the wall. Images, names, dates, contracts. Every crime, every fake identity, every abuse of power. He froze. For the first time, I saw fear in his eyes. I raised my gun, but I didn't fire. Instead, I shouted, people are watching. The world is watching. You're done hiding. He hesitated. Then, slowly, he lowered his weapon. Mikhail, Lev, and Dima exhaled. We hadn't fired a shot. But the power had shifted. Coming up, I said into the camera, you'll see what happens when a man chooses justice over revenge. But the consequences are just beginning. Kincaid tried to negotiate. I stayed silent. Every word he said bounced off my resolve. And then, the sirens outside. Police lights flashing through broken windows. Someone had tipped them off. The files. The drive. We weren't alone anymore. I glanced at my friends. We nodded. We would face this together. But the night wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Because while Kincaid was cuffed and confused, I realized something terrifying. There was still one more player in this game. One person who had orchestrated everything behind the scenes. And we hadn't seen them yet. Coming up, the final revelation. The person who really pulled the strings. And the revenge that nobody expected. It's me again, the husband. The man who thought he had seen the full scale of the deception. But I was about to discover the truth, the real mastermind. The police were arriving outside. Kincaid was being led away, cuffed and defeated. We stepped back, thinking the nightmare was ending. But my gut told me it wasn't. Harris pulled me aside. I told you not everyone comes forward, he whispered. You've seen Kincaid, but he's just a pawn. I froze. What do you mean? I asked. He nodded toward a server terminal. All of this, the files, the surveillance, the kidnappings, it's orchestrated from inside the HOA board. I stared at him, disbelief burning in my chest. The HOA president, Harris said. Margaret, she's been pulling the strings for years. I felt my stomach drop. Margaret? The one who always smiled at community meetings? Who hosted the bake sales and charity drives? The one everyone trusted? Yes, Harris said. Everyone sees her as a figurehead. But she controls the contracts, the clearance operations, and everything Kincaid does. I looked at Mikhail, at Lev, at Dima. Their faces were mirrors of my shock. We realized. Kincaid's fall changes nothing. Margaret could vanish, replace him with another pawn, and continue. We needed proof. Something undeniable. Harris pointed to the server logs. Every transaction, every clearance, every order goes through her account. We needed that evidence in our hands. I swallowed hard. The stakes were higher than ever. Not just revenge, not just exposure. We had to dismantle a network built to hurt families like mine. Coming up, I whispered into the camera, you'll see how we confront her, and why this is the most dangerous step of all. We planned carefully. Every step measured, every risk calculated. We couldn't afford mistakes. The plan: access her office during the HOA gala. Crowds, security, cameras everywhere. Perfect cover for infiltration, but also perfect risk of being caught. I remembered my wife, her broken leg, her suffering, her trust in me to make things right. That gave me courage. Harris handed me the last piece of tech, a portable drive with a keylogger. We could intercept everything remotely. I looked at my friends. They nodded, silent, ready, committed. And in that moment, I realized the war wasn't over. It was just moving to the next battlefield. Coming up, the infiltration. The night we confront Margaret. And the moment where revenge meets the truth. It's me again, the husband. The man who thought he had seen it all. Tonight, we step into the lion's den. The HOA gala was in full swing. Chandeliers, polite laughter, clinking glasses. Margaret at the center, smiling, shaking hands. No one suspected a thing. We parked a block away. Dima checked the cameras from the drone. Mikhail and Lev went over the exit points. I gripped the portable drive, feeling its weight in my hands. Every second mattered. I whispered to the camera. It's me, and if we fail tonight, everything falls apart. We slipped through the back entrance. A hallway lined with polished wood and security cameras. I felt my pulse racing. Every step a risk. Mikhail disabled the first camera. Lev held the door for us. Dima planted a small device on the network hub. Instant access. Inside Margaret's office, photos, files, contracts, all untouched. Everything pointed to her. Every crime, every illegal clearance, every disappearance. I downloaded everything onto the drive. My hands shook. Margaret could return any second. Then I heard a soft click. A door opening. Her voice. My, what do we have here? I froze. It was her. Margaret. Not panicked. Not afraid. Just amused. I whispered to the camera. You're about to see the face of control. Calm, collected, dangerous. She stepped forward. No one takes what's mine, she said. Eyes locked on mine. I gritted my teeth. Coming up, I told the camera, you'll see how a lifetime of deception meets its reckoning. Mikhail blocked the door. Lev kept the drone above. Dima held the server logs ready. Margaret smiled. You think you can ruin me with a drive? Her laugh echoed in the office. Cold, sharp, like broken glass. I stepped forward. This isn't about ruining you. It's about exposing the truth. She tilted her head. Do you think the world cares about HOA drama? I clenched my fists. No, they care about justice. And we're giving them that chance. Suddenly, a shadow moved behind her desk. Security. We had seconds. I looked at my friends. Nodded. This was the moment. We had to act. Coming up, the confrontation with Margaret escalates. Everything we've worked for teeters on the edge. And the consequences. Nobody saw coming. It's me again, the husband. The man who chased justice through darkness, deception, and blood. And now, it's time for reckoning. Margaret stood before us. Calm, controlled, like she had rehearsed this moment 1,000 times. Her eyes scanned us, the 3 Forestry friends, the drive, the server logs. She knew we had evidence. And she knew we were dangerous. I whispered into the camera. It's me, and right now, every heartbeat matters. We held our ground. Mikhail, Lev, Dima. Silent, tense, ready. The gala continued outside, oblivious to the war behind the office doors. Margaret smirked. You think exposing me changes anything? I stepped closer. Everything, I said. She laughed. Slow, deliberate. You've seen the surface. You've seen Kincaid fall. But the roots run deep. And roots survive storms. I clenched my fists. I thought of my wife. Her screams. Her pain. The life they tried to steal from us. I pressed the drive into the server. Files uploaded fast. Screens flickered. Names, crimes, clearances, all exposed to law enforcement and media channels simultaneously. Margaret's face changed. From amusement to panic. Her eyes darted around, calculating. Then she lunged for the door. I blocked it. Mikhail grabbed her arm. Lev held the drive in front like a shield. Dima shouted instructions, calm and precise. We didn't hurt her. Not physically. But the power shifted. The moment belonged to us. Coming up, I whispered to the camera, "You'll see how she reacts when the world knows the truth." She cursed, fists pounding the desk, documents rustled, her composure cracking. It was beautiful, in a terrifying way. Outside, sirens grew louder. Police converged on the gala. Evidence from the drive already streaming into their hands. We had minutes to ensure she couldn't escape the law. Margaret realized her empire was collapsing. Her men, loyal only to her, froze. Some fled, some surrendered. And then, silence. A hush fell over the office. We stood there, victorious, exhausted, trembling. I turned to my friends. We exchanged nods. We knew the risk we had taken. We also knew the impact. Coming up, the fallout. How the truth reshapes lives. And why revenge, justice, and consequences are never simple. It's me again, the husband. I thought it was over. I thought the nightmare ended when Margaret fell. We walked out of the office. The night air was cold. Fog curling around our boots. The city lights reflected on wet pavement. I looked at my friends. Silent, tired, changed. I whispered to the camera. "It's me. And I still can't believe what we did." We moved through the alleyways. No words. Just shadows. Just our breath. I thought of my wife. Her pain. Her fear. Her trust in me. I thought of the files. The lives we saved. The people still in danger. My hands shook. I touched the drive. The proof. The evidence. Everything we fought for. I wondered if justice really mattered. Or if revenge was the only truth we could hold. The city slept. The gala behind us. Sirens fading. Nothing left but quiet. I thought of Kincaid. Of Margaret. Of the network we destroyed. Was it gone? Or just buried deeper? Coming up, the moment that changes everything. I reached the corner. Stopped. The street lamp flickered. Then darkness. A sound behind me. Soft. Unrecognizable. Footsteps. Not ours. I turned slowly. Nothing. Then it hit. A flash. A movement. Too fast. I couldn't react. Couldn't see. Couldn't breathe. The world tilted. I fell. The drive slipped from my hand. Rolling. Glinting. I thought, maybe this is it. Then silence. Only the fog. Only my breath. Only the cold. And the camera. Still recording. I whispered one last thing. "It's me. And I don't know what happens next." The frame went black. The screen silent. Nothing else. The story ended. Or maybe it didn't.